All right, guys, this is Normal Central coming back at you on the YouTube video, and this is a late night video today. Za'Kari Johnson is the kid who just committed to Florida State, four-star athlete out of Miami Carroll City, and I do think this is a get that Florida State had to have in the recruiting class. Obviously, the recruiting rankings are showing that Florida State's 53rd in the 247 composite rankings, and obviously you want to see that way higher for Florida State. This is not Florida Atlantic we're talking or Florida International. Za'Kari had a lot of offers from a lot of great schools in terms of like Auburn, Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami, Georgia. The list goes on and on, even Miami. But he was able to come in and being able to come in and commit to Florida State. Now, the thing I do worry about is even though he did get a commitment and he is committed over to Florida State, I worry about Ta'Shawn Poole now. I think this could be an opportunity where Georgia probably sneaks in and is able to get him. I think Florida State's coaching staff saw the writing on the wall with that situation, and it could be a situation where he goes to Georgia and they kind of had to make a move to make sure they had a defensive back in the class. I think he's more of a safety in this class. I do like him a lot at 6'1", 200 pounds. And I know he can play a little bit of wide receiver. He also played quarterback a little bit too, running the ball for like 700 yards, had like 500 or 600 passing yards. So I think this is a guy that they really like. And I mean, you have to have these kind of DBs in your class, specifically because you have Mekhi Williams, who is your top defensive back in this class, go over to Wisconsin in a head scratching move. I understand relationships matter, and I know Miami was pushing at 1.2. LSU had an inside track. And this isn't to say the Florida State coaching staff has not done a good job with this recruiting class because Sam Lejeune was a very good prospect they needed to get in this class. He's a great defensive trench guy that you need at defensive tackle spot, potentially even a situational edge rusher if you need it. Sean Green, another guy who they were able to wrestle with against Georgia. Jaden Miles is another four-star running back they needed in this class too. Albright, another linebacker they needed in this class. Calvarado is another one. There's just a lot of guys in this class who I think can be really good. Logan Flaherty obviously is going to be the leader in this recruiting class because he is a quarterback, but I know everybody talks about him being a three-star. He could possibly be a low four-star if he kind of puts up a great senior season. Obviously, he's got a little bit to go with being an 87 composite rank, and he's got to be able to camp a little bit more at some of these events and kind of get the attention from some of these recruiting databases. But overall, though, I think Florida State's got a good foundation. Now, the problem is you didn't land DeJon Yarborough, and that's a big loss for Florida State. I talked about it before. You cannot lose recruits to California. I don't really care about the academic side of things. I don't really care about the whole fact of, he's from the West Coast. This is a target you needed to land, and you did not land it. So now you're trying to figure out what you have on the offensive line. Obviously, you need more line trenches for sure, offensive and defensive. And yes, Za'Kari is a great get for Florida State in terms of what he can be as a potential prospect, top 350 prospect in the entire 2027 class. But Florida State's got a lot of work to do. They have a good foundation, but they need to kind of expand the board on some of their defensive and offensive trenches, specifically on the offensive side for offensive trenches, and kind of get some stuff rolling there. But Za'Kari is a really good start for this defensive backfield because you had Jamari Foreman, who I think you had to have in this class. You're able to keep in here, and he had eight interceptions this past year. So it's a guy you really wanted to see in this class. And Louisville was pushing really hard for him. And I know Mekhi Williams went to Wisconsin. I understand that there was a lot of hesitancy about that from the fan base, and they wanted to see more. And you're always seeing bad news from Florida State. Obviously, you might see some more with Ta'Shawn Poole. I hope not. I hope he's able to come to Florida State instead of picking Georgia. But it gives me a bad vibe whenever you end up possibly visiting your last time there at Florida State, and then you cancel your Miami visit. You think everything's going in the right direction for Florida State. He even gets two crystal ball predictions, and now he takes that last visit to Georgia. We kind of know how that's gone before with the KJ Bolden situation. Georgia kids, especially from Macon, can be able to go to Georgia at times, so I just wonder what Florida State's going to do in that aspect, but they definitely need to expand their board and potentially get some more prospects in. But if they're able to get Poole and they're able to get Johnson at the same time, man, that would be a scary defensive backfield that you can really build on. Obviously, you have to win on the season, unlike what we've done the last couple of years. Losing, 6 of your last 8 years has been losing seasons, has been kind of rough for Florida State. So you need to make sure you kind of get some stuff rolling on the win column and get Florida State in the right position. But I really appreciate all the love and support as always. Be sure to like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to try to talk Florida State football, or at least Florida State sports, every single day before the season kind of gets along here. We are at July 14th, so we are right around the corner before we play New Mexico State on August the 29th. And I'm super excited to see Doak Campbell Stadium up and rocking in that day. And I just hope that we can be able to have a great season this year. And hopefully you can be able to follow the content as we continue to go day by day with the content. But I appreciate it as always, and go Noles.